Wednesday, June 4th. You're about to go behind the scenes with NEGB1. Play tomorrow's Rockstars Now. It is NEGB. Whoa, that is really, really loud. How's everybody doing? I am Jeff Royds, back for another edition of Behind the Scenes. I love it when equipment doesn't work the way I want it to, which is pretty much never next to all of the time. So, but we are here. We are back. How is everybody doing? It was a rock and roll plethora. Is that a word? I don't know if that's the right word that I'm using. I'm going to have to look that up, but you know what? I'll look it up later because we don't really have time to do it. Let's just say it was a rock and roll weekend. It was amazing. The band V, that you have all been hearing so much about. They've been posting on Facebook and Twitter and NEGB1 all about their debut show. They were shooting their music video. They had an amazing time up there in Grafton. And I guess I was talking to Nick and some of the boys. They didn't get to play their full set because their smoke machine set off the smoke detectors in the hall, in the bar. And the fire department came down and shut it down. So they're like 2 songs away from their last thing. And the fire department came and shut it down and just said, you know what? I'm afraid you guys are just too darn loud. We're gonna have to shut you down. So they got shut down. So sorry to Nick and the boys, but you know what? They did a great job. It was awesome. I heard it was amazing. Wolfbane and Third Kills Vision played with them. If you headed up north a little bit more to Uncle Eddie's up on Salisbury Beach, you would know that Bullethead was doing their farewell show. It was packed, sold out. The rain did not keep people away. It was wall to wall. They had to call in 2 extra bartenders to fill the night because they assumed that because of the storm up there, and it was hurricane force winds. The beach was just it was covered, and the surf was high. And if you were a surfer and you were out there, it was awesome. They had to call in some extra bartenders because there were so many people and they weren't expecting it. So it worked out really, really well for them. So I want to say thank you to everybody that came up to that, saying goodbye to Bullethead, which is actually my band. We're calling it quits after 4 years. We played with Jake and the Jakes. What was the band? Whiskey Bent and Age Event. My brain's like frazzled right now. It's 1,000 degrees in this studio. I don't understand. It's so cold outside, but we're in a little, I say little, but it's a big box, and it's just really, really warm. So that's what's happening. So let's get into this week's issue of Behind the Scenes. I'm looking at the gentleman's website. His name is John Donovan. He is a drummer, percussionist extraordinaire, if that's what you want to call him. And you know what? Let's bring John up on the phone. John, are you with me?
Yes, I am, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. All right, so I want to make sure I got you a good level here. Have you heard this before, that you look like that guy Elton from the Food Channel?
Yes, I have.
Okay, good, because when I turned it on, I was like, that's the dude from the Food Channel, but it's not. But you look just like him, which does it work in your favor sometimes? Do people think that you're him and you're like, no, this is me, here's my demo tape and things like that, or?
No, it hasn't gotten that far yet.
All right, well, if it ever does, you can say that you heard it from me here first. So now I'm looking at you here. It says that I'm going to read a little bit from your website. While the party percussionist concept is 30 years old, John Donovan has received the levels of recognition never before earned by a live musician in the DJ industry, and has achieved them in just little over 4 years. That's a pretty amazing feat. Now, explain to me how this works, because it says it's a percussionist and it says DJ industry. How does that all work together?
I appreciate you asking. If you would have told me 5 years ago that I'd be doing this, I would have told you that you were on some really bad drugs.
You wouldn't be the first one to say that.
I never even knew about this in my younger years as a musician, and I'm glad I know about it now. I'd like to stay clean from playing with bands for over 4 years, and I enjoy being a solo artist. And it's interesting. Basically, in 1982, out in Long Island, in the private event circuit, working events for high society, basically they started adding live musicians with the mobile DJ packages. And traditionally it started, and it's still mainly Latin-style percussionists, timbali players, conga players, that type of thing. And when we had moved to Long Island for 3.5 years to put my wife through college, I found out about this market, and it was literally by accident off of Craigslist. Literally by accident, and I'm not embarrassed to admit that. And I do it a little bit differently. I'm a corps-style percussionist. While I have an extensive background in drum set, I spent a lot of years in my youth training with drum bugle corps to really hone my physical skills, my musical intellect as far as design goes. And it was just, I don't know, Jeff, it's just been amazing. I get sold onto parties as an add-on entertainer. Once in a while, I do work with nightclubs when they do have a budget that I can work with. Most of my work, though, and I'm extremely proud of it, is high society events, weddings, corporate events, mitzvahs, sweet 16s, quinceañeras, you name it, even freedom parties, which are actually divorce parties, which I never even knew existed, but there is a small little market for it.
You would have made a fortune off of me, John, if that was the case.
Too bad we couldn't have signed you on at the time.
So now let me just cut you off for a quick second. So you go and you'll just play drums at a party? There's got to be more to that, because I just think people would get annoyed by that, just listening to somebody hitting drums. There's got to be more to it, correct?
Correct. There is, and I appreciate you asking that. If somebody doesn't know how to really get into the music from a musical standpoint, it can become annoying, especially if your vocab as a percussionist consists of 3 different beats and 1 volume level. It can get very redundant. There are some guys very successful that take that type of approach, but however, the main reason why they are continuing to work is just because they're cheaper as entertainers. They're more commodities versus name brand artists. When I approach how I'm playing with a DJ, now granted, I've done something like just over 550 events since the end of 2007. I approach it like I'm designing something on the fly, the same type of design that you would see for a drum and bugle corps or an advanced college percussion section, in with the pop music. So when you take the combination of all my experience in drum set between the jazz, metal, all the theater stuff I've done, working on cruise ships, any bands that I've been with, and combine that with what I'm doing now, it actually puts me in a weird position globally, because nobody's exactly done this to this level before with my instrument. So it's actually historic in the percussion industry, which I would have thought, 10 years ago, that'd be a cool concept, but it would never happen. And all of a sudden, it's like years into it, it did happen. And it's really cool. When somebody's on the dance floor and they're having a really good time and they hear me mixed into the music comes to life. It takes on another form. The music, basically becomes deeper from a construction standpoint as far as the musical design goes, versus just me going up and just whacking a bunch of notes just to fulfill a contractual obligation. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of brains and brawn that goes into what I do, and I just love it. And I don't have to just sit down and whack 2 and 4 anymore, doing something that 20,000 guys can do. I'm actually in a position to do something unique, which has been, it's been great. It's been lucrative, and it's opened up a lot of doors.
So are you playing along with the music itself? Like somebody will play, you have a DJ that's with you, and they're playing a song, and then you're playing live along with the track?
Correct.
Okay. So, don't take this the wrong way. So it's kind of like karaoke, but with a drum beat, and it sounds decent. It's people aren't holding their ears, running away in pain.
You're very correct about that, except for one major issue. Of all the DJs that are out there, I'd say there's about a 15 to 10% tile, and these guys are extreme artists as far as the mixing, as far as what they do. Just one particular DJ off the bat, DJ Flip, who is a Denon artist, and he's with Beams, and he has a couple other endorsements. He's out in Vegas right now. DJ Flip is a true artist. He's past just being a disc jockey. He's past being a music mixer. He's what's called a turntablist. So he puts a lot of risk out there, and And that can mean that from time to time there might be a mathematical error or something that maybe a small amount of people in the room might even pick up. But the total amount of demand and energy that DJ Flip and some other guys that I've worked with puts into it, it's just amazing. It's not just playing along with the radio. When the DJ is into a set, a good DJ, I know this is subjective, but I'll just, stress my bias.
Dude, go ahead.
I like what's called Serato ADD. When a good DJ gets into a dance mix, he's verse, chorus, out into the next song. So you don't keep a whole song playing for 3 minutes and 45 seconds or whatever it is. These guys are in and out of songs. You have to be able to listen very intensely to when they start to mix the tunes. I'll hear 2 tunes at once. And sometimes if it's, let's say they're mixing a pre-done mix with 2 tunes at once, they could be mixing another tune in. So in theory, there could be multiple tunes that I'm hearing from that I can draw inspiration from as I'm creating. So I can hear 2 melodies going on at once. And at that point, just my intuition just takes over as far as what to do. So it's actually not easy to do it correctly and to demand the kind of response that I get from the clients that I entertain. I've made it very difficult for myself. I've set some pretty high goals as far as what I expect for myself as an entertainer, and I'm still pushing myself.
Are there any DJs particular that you enjoy working with? I'm assuming this isn't like traditional wedding DJs. Like I do wedding DJs, and I'll play the entire song through it. So you're not playing along with, normal music. You're playing along with specialty DJs, correct? Does that make sense?
It all depends. It all depends who I'm working with. Everyone's different.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I've worked literally with hundreds of different DJs in the last 4.5 years, and there's different approaches that are out there. Mm-hmm. Basically, the only particular thing that I dislike, and it actually does not work for the dance floor as far as the cohesiveness of everyone dancing and having a good time, is a DJ that cannot beat mix. That is an issue. In the new day hybrid ensembles of a DJ, percussionist, then a saxophone, violinist. Last night it was myself, a violinist, and a saxophonist. Okay? Mm-hmm. The DJ is now the drum set player of the band. I am basically the 80s guitarist glorified, but on percussion. It's a very flashy type of thing that I'm doing. As far as what's going on with the DJs, with the music that they're playing, referring back to what you were speaking with, mm-hmm. Most of the wedding DJs that I've played with are actually far more skilled than the majority of the club DJs I've worked with. Mm-hmm. Most of the club DJs that I've worked with are younger guys. A lot of them have great intentions, but they're not getting paid a whole lot, so therefore they can't really afford to be in business full-time with what they're doing to invest into their craft. And that's fine. Whatever their priorities are, whether it's being a hobbyist or whatever it is, that's fine. But the guys that I work with, they're crazy. I mean, they really are crazy in a good sense. And when I tell you, Jeff, there are that 15 percentile of DJs that I've worked with, there's some guys that are complete artists in their own right. It really is. And when I grew up here in the Poconos, I was told 2 things. Private events are hokey, and DJs are the devil. It couldn't be further from the truth. Now, the thing is, you might be thinking, or some of your listeners might be thinking, well, DJs ruined the music business. Let me tell you that's further away from the truth. Here's what, for my research, was happening. So many bands have been trying to just get out there for free constantly, and basically it just created so many bottom feeders and so many clubs who are used to getting this entertainment for free that the DJs, and some of them know that I'm really passionate about, this. But the DJ industry basically saved the music business as far as I'm concerned because they brought the business into it. They demand to be paid. Deposits, contracts, balances. You don't just show up and hope and expect to get paid. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I had no idea when I moved to New York that one of the largest employers of skilled live musicians are actually DJ and event companies. I had no idea.
Wow.
I've walked into events where it's literally been a 15-piece orchestra and a DJ. And oftentimes they are working at the same time. It's a very creative type of situation. It's very inspirational.
So it's not just once the band takes a break, the DJ takes over and starts playing, and then once the DJ's done, the band goes back on.
That is a format that can happen.
Uh-huh.
but oftentimes there's a lot of interlap and a lot of creativity with the artists.
So I think that would be cool to see something like that, because as a DJ, I have done some weddings and some parties, events where the band will, there'll be a band and a DJ. The band will take a break. The DJ will go on for 45 minutes. Then the band will come back on, and they're never kind of coinciding with one another. I mean, you hear the band as they're getting ready to go back on. They play a little bit of the song that the DJ's playing or what I'd be playing, but then I would stop, and then the band would go on totally. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of what you're doing, so this is kind of an eye-opener for me and new. This is cool. I like this.
Yes, it's still an eye-opener for me as well.
Mm-hmm. So what's like the big market for you now? You're based out of Pennsylvania? Is that the area you're in, Philadelphia?
I'm about 2 hours north of Philly.
Okay.
We just moved back to Pennsylvania at the beginning of 2011. My wife was done with college, and we realized living in Long Island that regardless of basically, even if my rates were doubled and tripled, there was no way we could ever really purchase a home in Long Island, not to mention get into like a 30-year mortgage and sustain that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I only met a couple drummers on Long Island, and this includes some A and B listers that, you know, owned their own home. Everyone else was just paying rent. That's what they were used to growing up. I want to purchase my own home. When my wife was done with college, Jeff, the first thing that we realized is, okay, I have demand in Jersey. I've been getting some demand and interest from Philly and elsewhere. I can just expand and commute wherever I want to go and, you know, just keep saving, building my business model. And my goal is I want to buy a house.
Wow. I mean, can you sustain a living off of this?
Well, I've always been sustaining a living as a percussionist.
Okay.
As a drummer for the last 4.5 years doing this as a party percussionist, it's been way better than anything I've ever been exposed to in the live music world.
Wow.
As far as financial goes. Now that it's all relative. You might have some listeners that are making $90,000, $100,000, $110,000 a year playing in a band. Great for them, and I'm happy for them. You know, there's a certain amount of luck. You got to network certain ways. It's in the live music market, you know, and it has its own challenges. I never had those connections. You know, with the live band, you know, the best credibility, you know, that I was ever part of, type of credible gig, was being with One Man Religion. It was a band that I was with a long time ago. There's nothing online of it except for a couple songs from back in the day. But we opened up for Breaking Benjamin. It was actually 10 years ago this past February. You know what I mean? Right. Besides that, whether it was working on the cruise ships or whatnot or doing jobs, I would do that, but it was always a struggle. 100% of the bands I've been with, except if it was a band that was managed by, you know, an actual company, every single band exploded. People would quit. They're not on the same page. You know, and then the worst thing you can do sometimes, in my opinion, is mixing professionals with hobbyists. It's like the most self-destructive thing you can do for an organization sometimes.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that 1,000 times in the music industry where, you know, the guy that wants to do it as a career and the other guy's just, this is my weekend gig. Yeah, I can't make it because, you know, the wife wants to go to the movies or I got a birthday party I got to go to, and they're not taking it seriously. It's kind of, you're butting heads a lot. So would you ever consider going back to playing drums in a band, or are you so content where you are now?
Well, honestly, my employer is 5 years old, and he just finished kindergarten today.
Okay.
Would I go back to playing in a band if it was a situation where the budget allowed for me to go in that direction? Yeah,
no, I hear you on that one. So I'm assuming you're a married man with kids.
A numbers game. I'm sorry?
You're a married man with kids?
Yes, married to my wife, Lauren. She's awesome. She's a heck of a tuba player, awesome mother, and we have a 5-year-old son named Evan.
Now, is he starting to play the drums too, or...?
No. He does. He has messed around with, but my goal is to not try to push him into music if possible.
Mm-hmm. Now, were you pushed into music at a young age? Is that why you don't want him to be pushed?
Yeah, well, I wasn't pushed, but, you know, growing up in the Pocono Mountains, I had, you know, plenty of time to be able to hone my craft as a drummer. And I just want Evan to be able to have more of a diverse childhood. Mm-hmm. So that he's got more options open to him.
Wow.
Because from a young age, playing the drums for me, it wasn't a choice. It's just been what I do. Mm-hmm. Okay? And I got to tell you, I'm not going to say I don't want that life for my son. I want him to be self-employed, but it'd be great if he was able to get involved with more lucrative markets, to be honest with you. Yeah, no,
I hear you on that one. So I'm looking at your website, and it says that you performed at the Mobile Beat magazine's convention.
Yes.
Which one?
Yes.
Because I went to one, it was in Vegas a couple of years ago, but I don't think you were there. Which year were you there?
I just was there this past February.
Ah, okay. That might be why then. I was there like 2009 or 8 or I think 7 or something like that. But no, that's cool. But you were at, they had Chubby Checker the year that I was there. So not that, so it looks like they did an upgrade with you this year because Chubby was just ancient and he was just chubby. He wasn't really checkering much. So that kind of worked out well.
Okay.
But when you perform at the events, would you do like the main room or were you in with all the in the vendors?
My performance this year was with DJ Flip at the grand finale in the Expo Hall Room.
Oh, cool.
Right before the sensational sound system gave away, before Mobile Beat and all the sponsors involved gave away a lot of gear to one or two lucky contestants.
Wow. That's excellent. Now, were you just a part of this? I see, I'm just looking at pictures on your site. The 311 Day 2012 out in the MGM Arena?
That was a dream come true.
Talk about that.
Well, I'd love to talk about playing with 311. When I started drum corps in my 20s, in my teens, in my 20s, in my teens, when I started, I heard about Chad Sexton, I heard about 311. This was before they really went mainstream. The drummer Chad Sexton has an amazing following through the educated percussion community. An amazing following. He's a monster player, monster person. His personality is great. I heard all these great things. I can remember being 17, 18 years old on the drum corps field in the summer, basically getting paid to be told to do push-ups every time I blow a drum roll or whatever, and thinking, how cool would it be someday to be in a drum line to play with 311? And Vegas would just happen to be a cool location. Sometime this winter, I just happened to have gotten the phone call from the person responsible for hiring me. And it ended up happening. We had 5 drummers playing with the band. There's video of that online as well. And it was just an awesome dream come true. We played at the fan party. We did 6 tunes at the Hard Rock. I believe the venue is called The Joint. I think it's only about 3 years old. And it was just an amazing opportunity. There was something like 2,700 people there that night, and it was really cool. I mean, I'm used to seeing like 1,000 people tops. It's like at a really big private event. I'm not used to seeing, thousands, except for when I was in drum corps and I was little, but that's different. But the Hard Rock fan party was awesome. The band didn't perform, but DJ Solman was playing all the backing tracks for all the various acts. There were aerial silks, fire breathers, people doing all sorts of cirque-type acts. And they were all amazing professionals. Opening up for the second act for 311. We played, with the band. We did Freak Out, and then we ended the evening right after it turned March 11th on the clock. They had the big countdown, and we did the song Jackpot with the band. So it was a dream come true. And I wondered, Jeff, I got to tell you, and for any of your listeners, it's like, were you nervous about that? I know some of your listeners have probably been on world tours, and 16,000 isn't a big deal, but for me, it was. It meant a lot. I wondered, am I going to crack under pressure? But the thing that I've realized over the years is the bigger crowd that I'm in front of, the more pressure, the more that's at stake, I just deliver. It's just what I do. I like being part of a team that just delivers. No excuses, no BS. It's all about raw skill and performance output. And I think there was something like 16,000 people there. I don't know the exact number. Wow. But both days were close to being sold out. The total festival was 2 days long. So it was nice to be able to actually see the concert on the second day. It was really nice. But playing with 311 was just an awesome opportunity. I mean, I was just so happy on stage. Like, I had no sense of being nervous. Nothing. It was just, I was prepared for the job, getting ready to do it, and just wanted to reach that next level, and I was able to pull that off.
That's very cool. Now, how did you get asked? How did you get involved with that? How did they just saw you and just said, "Hey, we want to have this guy," or were they auditioning people, or?
A friend of mine, his name is Mike. He lives in Vegas. He was contracted with putting this ensemble together to play with the band, and that's pretty much just how it happened. He gave me a call, and we just went over details, and we just did it.
So it's good to know people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You always need your friends. You always need connections. A lot of bands, they think that they can just get there by, you can get there by raw talent, but it's harder. But you can get there quicker by raw talent and by knowing somebody that can put your raw talent in front of the right people.
Perfectly said, said, Jeff. When I was younger, I thought it was all about just having that skill, and people will just come to you. It doesn't really work like that as far as I'm aware of. Mm-hmm. You have to network. You have to be out there with people. I mean, social media between Facebook and YouTube totally changed my life. Almost felt like it was overnight. When I started to see how YouTube worked, as soon as I had my first demo video, which is 4 years old, kind of laughable. You can go ahead and show it to anybody you want. It's really laughable. And I still have it up because once in a while I still get a call. But the first week I had it up, I ended up doing a wedding for, who was it? Her name is Michelle, and she was a manager at Billboard magazine.
Wow.
And I thought it was a joke at first, and it wasn't. I'm like, how did this happen? But it just does. So I'm totally about just trying to get to network, get to know people, and then that, when it's valuable, so when your phone does ring, you have the tools in your toolbox to go out and get that job done.
Wow. Now, you talked about the 311 gig. Was that the biggest gig you've ever done, and was that like your most nerve-wracking event ever, or has there been one specific moment where you've just been, holy crap, I really hope I don't mess this up, drop a stick, break a cymbal, stick my stick through a tom or anything like that?
The only thing that was nerve-wracking, first of all, to answer your question, is yes, it was, really the biggest job I've done in my life so far. And for all I know, I might not ever hit something quite at that level again. And I can just say that it'll at least happen once, but I'm going to keep pushing because I'd love to be able to take my act and as is and actually go on tour with the group doing my act as is, like a major tour. The only thing nerve-wracking about preparing for the 311 job, Jeff, I'm what they refer to as a paper baby. Because I am formally trained, if you give me sheet music, doesn't matter how hard it is for my instrument, I will eat it like food. If I would have had sheet music for this particular job, I could have learned the 6 songs and memorized them within an afternoon, maybe the afternoon and evening. Unfortunately, this was the type of situation where I had to look at secret YouTube links of videos and stare at these videos, and it literally took me somewhere between 35 and 40 hours the week prior once I got the videos. And then even then, I showed up on the job, and I had to learn a piece on site. Now, if you're just improvising as a percussionist, you don't need any rehearsal for that. Yeah. I've rehearsed with maybe 2 DJs in the last 4.5 years. It's all you show up, you just do it on the spot. You can either improv, you can either deliver, or you can't. But when you're playing with the drum line, everything is scripted. There's no individualism. Everything is, extremely militaristic. So that's the only thing that was nerve-wracking, Jeff, was just spending that whole week before learning that. Because it can take me, let's say, longer than the average person to learn something by staring at it, studying it. But if there is sheet music, if there's somebody involved with the production team that's, musically literate, that can give me something, even if it's a roadmap, then all of a sudden I'm in a situation where, I can swallow the material really fast.
Wow, that's cool. I sure as hell know that I couldn't do that, so I'd be freaking out, panicking. I'd be like, I'm going to screw up. So what's up? So you said you were 4 when you started playing percussion?
Yes, it was right before my 5th birthday.
How'd you get started with that? Was that something you just picked up, or did your parents stick you in front of a drum kit and said, here, play this?
Thanks for asking. I appreciate it, and I actually remember very vividly. My mom asked me for Christmas that year if I wanted Castle Grayskull or if I wanted drum lessons.
Oh, come on. You didn't take He-Man?
Well, I think I ended up getting both. But I wanted drum lessons. It just at the time seemed very attractive.
Yeah.
And I'll always thank my parents, to this day for just letting me pursue that.
Now, those are two very random gifts to ask a child that they want. Did you ever show an interest in playing drums, or were they just said, hey, Grayskull or the Mickey Mouse drum kit? Or was it a real drum kit?
My first drum set was it was a real kit. It was used. It was full size. So at the time, it was a little big for me. Mm-hmm. Wish I never sold it. That's a whole other story. Mm-hmm. But I think it was just a random thing my mom was asking me. I know that we throw our son into various activities, to keep him involved, open up his horizons. And we're going to continue to do that for our son. I demand my son be in swimming lessons because I can't swim well. Mm-hmm. And my son is going to be 6 next month. He's better in the water than I am.
That's excellent.
So I know that when we go to Bermuda next month, I know that he's going to be fine in the water.
Good.
So
excellent. Yeah, you hear so many stories of kids, that they go on the beach and you don't want to think about that. But that's good that he can swim. Get him started early.
Definitely.
So, so how would one go about finding you? I know you have your website. It's johndonovan.biz, B-I-Z. Go on that. You're up on Facebook as well. Did you just search John Donovan? And is there a specific John Donovan percussion or something like that?
Yes. For my nickname, I have Party Percussionist. So in the Facebook search bar, if you put in Party Percussion, it should come up. If not, there are links to my various social media sites from my website.
Okay, excellent. So people will go to that. We will link to that on you have links to that on your NEGB1 page as well, correct? And on Facebook and things like that?
Eric would know that. I'm assuming he does. Eric Kroll, my awesome publicist, which today is his birthday, has been setting up all these various links.
Wow.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Mr. Kroll. Eric has been amazing for us here at NEGB1 and a lot of our bands and a lot of things for the music scene. So if I could take a moment, because he is one of our featured sponsors here at NEGB1, take a moment to say, if you're a band and you're looking for somebody that is going to do what needs to be done for your music, get you out there on all the social networking sites, make the connections for you. Eric is one of those guys that you should know, where we were talking about earlier, where it helps to have talent, but it also helps to have talent and know somebody. And John, you seem to have the trifecta going there. You have the talent, you have the ability, and you know somebody in the industry that can do things for you. And Eric Kroll is one of those guys.
Yes, he is. It's an honor to be working with him. And the fact that he lives so locally to me, and he's a lot more ambitious than certain people I've met out of state in this particular field, it's really been a blessing to work with him.
So there's a lot of like potluck dinners at Eric's house and things like that?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So what do you have coming up next as we start to wrap things up? Where do you got any events coming up that people can go and see you if they're local, or are you going to be...
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was going to start another question, but I figured you might as well answer this one first.
As far as public venues go, it's actually not too often that I do anything public. Most clubs that will call me, I'd say 95% of the time, they're basically offering amounts of money that are equivalent to tip money that I'd be getting doing the private market. So I don't do that many public performances, which I'm fine with. But this summer, I will be performing in the iDJ Now booth at the DJ Times Expo in Atlantic City, and I'll be in the booth all week long. And I'll also be doing some select performances with various DJ celebrities at the mobile parties Monday and Wednesday at the Casbah at the Taj Mahal.
Wow, very, very cool. So you're a busy guy. You keep yourself busy, but not so busy that you're burnt out. You still love doing what you're doing.
Correct.
Excellent. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we did not touch base on?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's awesome that I can play with the top musical instruments in the world. I'm proud to be with Peisty cymbals and slug percussion accessories.
Thank you for saying Peisty, because I always thought everybody always says pasty, so it's pronounced Peisty, right?
I actually thought it was that as well until I went to a percussion industry event when I was younger, and I was corrected.
So there's a silent A in there, basically, is what it is.
Yeah, it is definitely Peisty.
Okay, that's unusual to have a silent A, but you know what? It's their company; they can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
So, and all your companies, they take care of you, I assume, with sticks and cymbals and percussion instruments and things like that.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Now, do they ever send you stuff and say, "Hey, John, we're testing this new cymbal out of this new tom or a conga or anything. Try this out for us and tell us what you think"?
For sticks and accessories, that's definitely happened. With cymbals and drums, I'm honestly lucky to be on their artist roster because I don't fit into any marketing models that the companies have. Mm-hmm. The instrument that I use, isn't typically used at all in commercial settings. When drummers are typically past age 22, they can't do junior drum corps anymore. And when you're out of college, your outlet for this type of percussion virtually disappears. And unless you're with the military or a few select production groups that are out there as ensembles, there's really no direct way to use this style of drumming to support yourself. So the fact that I'm able to do this as a freelance artist is historical. So just to be listed on the company's sites, it is an honor. I mean, as we know, with endorsements, it's about bottom line. How much equipment can you help sell for the company? And I'm totally aware of that. I do have my fans online. I know I've been able to, be, of tangible support to these companies, but I'm obviously by no means an A-lister drum set player, which would be of extreme value to these companies, or a drumline teacher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm very blessed to be with those companies.
Excellent. That is very, very cool. So my guest this week, if you're just joining us, is percussionist extraordinaire. Do you like the term percussionist extraordinaire? Has anybody ever called you that, or can I coin that phrase for you?
You can call me whatever you want, Jeff.
All right. Percussion extraordinaire, Mr. John Donovan. Now, you're not the same John Donovan that fired me 5 years ago from my bus driving job, are you?
I could be if you paid me enough.
Okay, cool. So, because we'd have to have words if that was the case. So, John, okay. I want to thank you very much for coming on. If you missed any part of this, or if you want to hear it again, play it for your friends, share it with everybody. It is going to be up on NEGB1's My Music Store as a podcast in the behind the scenes section. In about an hour or so, you can post it up on Facebook and share it with you. For those of you that are interested in doing something with John, if you're a DJ or if you have an event or if you're interested in getting in touch with him, check him out at johndonovan.biz or up on his NEGB1.com profile. Facebook, Reverb Nation. I'm assuming you have, being endorsed with Eric, I'm assuming you have every social networking site under the sun covered, correct?
There are social networking outlets that I didn't even know about until I met Eric.
Yeah, he's a social networking whore, if I could say that correctly. So he knows all about them. He's all over that stuff.
Yes, he knows a lot. He knows a lot. Jeff, I wanted to wish you a happy birthday coming up. I understand your birthday.
It passed. It was last.
It just came.
It was last Friday. It's quite all right. The late birthdays are welcome. Thank you very much. I'm an old man, but I'm doing my best.
Awesome. And also, Eric's sitting here, and he's very happy with the interview, and he can't wait for the podcast. We're very excited about that.
I was hoping Eric would be excited and not be waiting for the podcast. So that's good. I did my job well then, if I'm getting Eric's thumbs up.
Very cool. Could I mention one more thing?
No, you can't. You're all done. No, go ahead. Mention whatever you want.
I just wanted to mention, if there's anyone out there that might be curious as far as more details, as far as what I do, how I approach it, DJ Times Magazine just featured me, I think 2 months ago. It was in the March issue, and this was something that I didn't think could ever possibly happen, and it did. I was featured under the section called for event company owners, and there's only 12 of those prestigious slots a year. And they ended up interviewing me. I came back home one night from performing at the NJDJN Mini Expo, and I ended up finding out that I had an email from the magazine, and I was just totally blown away by that. Wow. So, I mean, it's a little shocking. I'm pretty aggressive with my marketing within the DJ community. Some people like it, some people don't. But either way, I'm just trying to open up the right doors. I'm priced the right way, so I'm not just going out there because I'm cheap. So I am priced correctly. And there are people that are supporting me. And DJ Times was just awesome with that feature. And you can find that feature most likely online at djtimes.com. Or if you go through my website, you can also go ahead and, find a copy of that as well.
Cool. So make sure everybody checks that out. He is John Donovan. He has been our guest this week for Behind the Scenes. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. If you are a local band and you want to get your message out there to hit us up at radio@negb1.com, the number 1.com. We are an online radio social networking site, everything impossible for the local original music scene. So, John, thank you very much for being on this week.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff.
And you have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye now.
You're tuned in to NEGB1 Radio.
Hey, man, got a big box of porn for you.
NEGB1 Radio, playing tomorrow's rock stars now.